Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew and a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Blitz, Bama, Blitz.
Welcome, everybody, again to the Weekly Joe Podcast. I'm Paul Graham. I'm here tonight with Roger Myers from the Tuscaloosa Bureau, Drew Champlin from the site of the just completed SEC tournament in Hoover, and Meghan Dennis coming to you from the site of the regional in Conway, South Carolina, where Coastal will host Fairfield, and they also have East Carolina and Florida there. It's going to be a tough one to get out of this weekend for the Chanticleers, but they did get a host spot. We're going to talk about that host spot. We're going to talk about one that wasn't. We're going to talk about the other 15. We'll talk about the SEC tournament, and we'll get right into Alabama baseball and prepare you for our regional tilt this weekend at Hattiesburg. Once again, thanks for joining us. We've got a great following this year. This is, I think, I don't know how many this is, about probably the 15th of these we've done all year. We've consistently done at least one a week. Long season. The regular season's done. We're into the postseason. Now we're off to the games that really matter. Your thoughts, Drew, I'll start with you. We're this far in. What are your thoughts of this team? What kind of a legacy has this team forged, and what do you think is ahead of them in the next week or two?
Well, when you go 16-14 in a conference like this, it's a pretty special season. We should be hosting a regional. I think we kind of got screwed on that end, but there's a lot of other, we also have beaten every team we've played this year. If you think about it, we have every team we've beaten. Every team we've played, we've beaten at least once. And then there's been some inconsistencies, finishing off some games, blown 3-5 run leads late in three conference games, but I think it's been a pretty successful season. You can't argue with going to a regional out of the SEC when your NIL and your scholarship numbers are lower than just about everybody else. So, we've got a chance. I mean, that's pretty much all you can say.
Yep, absolutely. Fourth time in 5 years. I mean, people don't realize as everybody complains about one thing or the other. It is the fourth time in 5 years we've gone to a regional. Didn't get the host slot we wanted, but hey, we're there, and we probably got pretty favorable regional assignment, right, Roger?
We hope so. Yeah, it looks. We match up well there. It would look a whole lot better at Sewell Thomas Stadium. The matchup. Yeah. Just because the 1 and the 4 and the 2 and the 3, where you can
get more options.
You can manipulate your pitching a lot better that way. But I think the legacy of the team is still being written. Mm-hmm. But as Drew said, it's it's successful. You have a winning record in SEC. I mean, that's enough said right there. And then to go undefeated in midweek and lose only one out of conference game all year is pretty incredible. Particularly when you look at the numbers. Our numbers don't overwhelm you.
No.
But the win total is incredible. 41 wins.
Yeah. Like blindly, if you did the kind of a blind test and you just put up, batting average, team ERA, give me 4 or 5 metrics, and you blinded all these teams, which of these teams won 16 games this year, or 16 or more, Meghan, we probably don't pop up on that list necessarily, do
we? Probably not. I think Drew said it in our group chat, I think last week, and it kind of summed it up best with this team, of this idea of we are a team that when we win games, it feels like we are never going to lose ever again.
Yeah.
But when we lose, it kind of feels like we are never going to win ever again. And I think all of that kind of sums up in, both from a stat standpoint and kind of what we've produced. And it's also we've still won 40 SEC games, or not, I say 40 games this year. But we've winning SEC record. Like it's a good team, but they're
It's a good
also
team.
very much an enigma.
Right. And we talked about it a little bit. The margin for error in this conference is so thin. I mean, look at okay, you're Auburn. You win 17 conference games. You managed to win a bunch of series. You got your ass swept like twice at least, right? I think that Georgia got them, Texas got them. But they managed to win these series. In particular, I mean, the Vanderbilt game that they came back and won at the end of the season, really probably set their season off on the right trajectory. Played well in midweeks, a couple wins over Georgia Tech that look really good now.
Couple of losses to UAB and
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
one and done in the SEC tournament.
Right. But a 17-win season, and I mean, there was no even discussion. I mean, the strength of schedule was so high. Committee obviously leaned heavily on RPI, leaned heavily on metrics, but for whatever reason, it didn't extend down to us necessarily. No. And so it's kind of strange. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I mean, you think of the margin. We had two really bad innings. The ninth against Vanderbilt, where we blew the 5-run lead. I say ninth, it might even been the 10th by the time I can't remember if that went extras. And then the Florida game where we kind of let them back in that one, and eventually they came back and win. I mean, two bad innings kind of define your season, the difference in being good and great, right?
Well, 18 and 12 and 43 and 14 or whatever.
Yeah.
Would have been.
Might have been a top 4 national seed if we just finished those two off and everything else had gone.
Right. Right. And I mean, and there weren't a lot of games this year where you look at, and we've talked about this a little before, where you went back and said, man, we could have had this and we could have. It was kind of all or nothing with this team. You're either getting run ruled or even like the third game with Florida, we were out of that one. I mean, I can really pin down those two games, maybe the Tennessee game that we did pull out at the opening night. But it was kind of all or nothing with this team. And you're right. I mean, the difference in 16 and 18 is potentially a 8, maybe 9 seed. And you're playing, you didn't have to play Missouri, and it kind of hurt you a little bit in the RPI going in. But as we get into the tournament, or we talk about the SEC tournament going in, I think there was all this intrigue around how we're going to handle pitching, because we did get stuck in that Tuesday game by virtue of the tiebreakers with Tennessee and Ole Miss. Both are 16 and 14. Really, there were 3 teams that had a lot of hay to make in that tournament. It was those 3. Drew, your thoughts? I mean, the playing in that Tuesday game with Missouri, the pitching decision to go with Faye. I mean, obviously, ultimately Riley wasn't available. Would you, knowing that now, maybe have changed and flipped it, try to go Missouri like we talked about last time with the midweekers?
Yeah. Now, bear in mind, I know good and well our coaches are doing all they can to try and win these games, and I know they're doing that even when we play the shift, and I curse the shift vocally in writing. I wish they would have gone a different route and just tried to beat. I was not expecting Riley at all until if we got to Thursday. So I think the coaching staff probably felt that as well. My guess is the way we did things, throw in Faye against Missouri, is they thought we just needed maybe one more win to host a regional, and then that didn't happen. But I really wish we had started Blackwood against Missouri, because he's done a lot better as a starter than he has as a reliever. Yes. He probably could have given us 5. You don't know. Missouri held 2 of their really good arms for Tuesday. They didn't pitch at all against Mississippi State, so they pitched pretty well against us.
Yes,
but you kind of just had to hope that if you wanted to beat Tennessee, that Faye could. You really wanted Faye to go 8 innings. He pitched very well. Could have kept going, but I was a little frustrated by that, because Tennessee just, Finateri had no answers for him. They were probably using loaded bats anyway, but they got a lot of hard outs off of them, and nothing we did against Tennessee on the mound, worked. I mean, they were locked in. That was I'd like to have seen Faye gone in that game, just because we hit the ball well, but it is what it is. If we had lost to Missouri with our bullpen guys or our midweek guys, we'd have been a 2 seed somewhere, probably in the same spot. But
same spot, yeah. And probably, and Roger, I mean, your thoughts, because when we talked about this last week, I think your initial thought was, yeah, I'd probably go with Faye on Tuesday.
Yeah, I did.
I think we
talked him out of
talked
it.
you out of it.
Y'all talked me into Trinitary, which, in retrospect, that might have been the best move, but
yeah,
we did only score 4 runs on those guys. So,
yes,
I mean, we had to hold them down. We would have had no shot if we had not won that game.
Right.
But as it turned out, it left us weak the next day with Riley and Zane not really being ready to go yet. So, I mean, I guess it's do what you have to do to win this game and then figure out tomorrow. Survive and advance.
You heard that from a lot of the coaches during the interviews during the tournament, not not necessarily ours, but some of the others. I mean, as they, Bianco, I mean, is like every day is just like, I mean, but then he throws another guy out there throwing 95, 96. Right. I don't know where the hell they're getting these people from.
Well, and Drew, it's kind of like some of those old Alabama guys that came in when Wells was pitching, or was coaching, when they would pitch an SEC tournament and they'd throw them 5 innings all year and they throw a 9-inning shutout or something.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, was it Jeffrey Norris?
He had Jeremy Vaughn, Kevin Marzion, guys like that.
So like other teams were rolling guys out there like that, and we just didn't have anybody that happened to
we didn't have any
on this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the dude for Ole Miss on one game. I mean, he had pitched 5 innings all year and started a game, and he goes like 8 with one run or something. I mean, it was it just been nice to have found one of those guys all of a sudden. But
Meghan, I mean, and Roger said the key word here, and I always go back to, we'll talk about pitching. And again, pitching was great in that game. By Tyler Faye, incredible game. 6 innings pitched, five hits, walked 1 guy, struck out 6. The whole staff struck out, walked 1 guy the whole game. Probably the low of the year. I can't imagine.
Oh yeah.
Then we hit 3 guys, but I mean that happens. Struck out 10. Meghan, I think the key here is, though, you go back. We only scored 4 runs. You got to score more runs, and that's kind of what's hampered us in losses this year, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of been the story of the season, of when it's like, who's going to get the hit? Can we get people not just on base but around? But like, I feel like recently it's even just been getting guys on where like we weren't. It's not even just we weren't getting runs. We weren't getting hits. And if you don't get on base, you don't get draw walks. You don't do any of that. And I don't have the box score up here in front of me to really look at those numbers. But it's one where like, if you can't get on base, you can't score. And that's been kind of the story for this kind of back half of the season, I feel like.
Right. So again, I go back to Tyler Faye. I mean, we can haggle about whether you should go on Monday or go on Tuesday or go on Wednesday. The fact is, he chewed up 6 innings. He did everything he could to keep you in that game. As one of his best performance of the year by far. One of our best starting pitching performances of the year. I think probably a top 3 maybe on the season. Then you get Tennessee. I mean, you won that game. You should have won that game. You got to win that game. You could have won it a different way maybe, but you're not going to win it with 4 runs. Then you go to Wednesday with Tennessee, who is a good hitting team. They pound out 20 hits on. Let's see how many pitchers we use. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We used nine guys. I mean, we used everybody we could throw out there, but it was kind of bleak there. I guess probably the only the intrigue here was after Faye had gone, you're kind of playing in your head, okay, when can Riley go? You're still on short rest, and he wasn't ready. Obviously wanted to go, but I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, they're not gonna risk that. Thoughts on that? I mean, that game, was there anything different? Would it have mattered? Or
it's just, I mean, right from the start, everything they hit was a piss missile. I mean, 110 off the bat. I mean, even all the outs, everything, and Finn did all he could to hold them down. I mean, they only had 2 runs off of him in an inning, inning and 2/3. So
they got after Heiberger real good. They got after Blackwood real good. I mean, they got after a lot of guys, and then
I mean, but of course, if they didn't have such a big lead, maybe it changes what their pitching
it does. Sure.
So but I mean, they still threw Phillips, Russell, and Krenzel. I mean, who are some of their guys? I mean,
Phillips is, I mean, their Saturday guy, right?
Right. And we knocked him out before 5 innings.
Yeah.
So, a lot
we
of
really made some great adjustments the second time around.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah.
And that throwaway on the second out helped us a lot.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
And then, the inning before we had a fourth inning, we had that shot at a big inning and kind of messed it up on the base pass.
Yeah.
That was very unfortunate because I think we were set to, maybe kind of take a lead even. So
exactly.
And we did that in the next inning, and then we had 3 innings of nothing, and then 4 runs in the ninth.
Consistency. So. Yeah. Meghan, I mean, I feel like Tennessee, when I walk the eye test with Tennessee to me this year, we matched up pretty darn well with Vandy. I mean, they pitched great that weekend, but we matched up pretty well there. Obviously, we took 2 or 3 from Georgia. We had other series. I'm trying, I think LSU. I mean, it felt like to me, Tennessee, LSU, we just had no answers for those guys. I mean, Tennessee beat us 3 out of 4 and beat us pretty soundly in 3 of those 4. Well, the 3 that they won, they beat us pretty soundly. LSU beat us pretty soundly in the 2 that they beat us. Kind of a mystery team, Tennessee. I mean, they earned a host this weekend. We were in a better position than them going in this weekend. But they win our game. I guess they played. Did they win the? They win the next day and then lost on Saturday. I think is
they won. Yeah, they won.
Yes,
they won twice. Yeah,
twice.
Yeah. You just feel like that's a team that's got our number. I mean, they feel like you don't want to see those guys again.
But you don't want to see them get hot for sure.
Tennessee is a weird team. I feel like in the sense of honestly, I think we are just as good, if not better, than them. And for whatever reason, we cannot play well against them overall. Because honestly, I don't think they're a great team. They're definitely not the team they were last year that won the whole thing, but they're not a bad team either. They're just, if we're looking at the SEC, I'd say they're a middle of the pack team this year.
Yeah. Which is amazing given, you got Doyle and you got Phillips that feel like 2 real high end guys, and you got some bats in that lineup.
You think if you look at it, those 2 you just named both transferred in.
Yeah.
Keelan and Fisher both transferred in. And that's probably their 4 most important players this year, right?
Yes, exactly.
Embargo transfer.
Yeah.
And he was really good.
Peebles is a transfer. I mean, they got a lot of them.
Inslee's just been okay, and the third baseman's not anything special.
Right, yeah.
The right fielder, Chapman, not sure if he came in. I don't remember him from before. But they lost a ton off of last year, and then they replaced it mostly with Power 5 guy or Power 4 transfers.
Yeah.
And SEC transfers, a lot of them.
Right. So again, it's one of these seasons where we talked a little bit before about how normally the tournament doesn't really do a whole, it's kind of set, everything, the team goes and wins a game, great. I mean, it probably helped us back in 23 to secure that host spot when we won 2 games in that tournament. But I mean, definitely this year, Vanderbilt earned their way to the top seed in the country. Ole Miss was outside looking in and won their way in. Tennessee was probably outside looking in, won their way in. I mean, they're really there. You kind of felt like going into the tournament, there was one more SEC slot up for grabs, and these guys managed to grab 2.
Yeah.
I think conferences aren't supposed to get regional bids. The teams
exactly.
are.
Right.
What I will say about the Tennessee games, I think that the two moments that I thought we really lost it were that when we started hitting and when Bonamolo got picked back off second because Papio held Snell. I think you should have let him go because if we talk about being aggressive, you got to try to take any runs you can get. If he gets hosed, he gets hosed. That's why I never get mad if a guy gets thrown out stealing second, because that's just, hey, great play. except for that double steal with Bryce and Richie in the regular season Saturday game. But that and also I think it was the bottom of the fifth, and we had just gone ahead 6-5, and Myers was pitching, and then you feel good because Myers is one of your better guys.
Yeah.
And I want to say we got two quick outs, and then they strung together a couple of hits, and they scored a run. So it's 6-6. And then we brought in Zane Adams in the bottom of the sixth. That surprised the heck out of me. And then
me too, actually.
I mean, that was I guess you try everything. They did have 3 of 4 lefties coming up, but he couldn't find the zone, and he might have taken the worst stat in baseball, which is the pitcher loss, if the best stat is the pitcher's win. So just tough after that,
I think that stint for Zane was probably intended, like you said, to get the lefties, just see if you can get us an inning. I mean, I don't think they were going to get Zane out there for 3 or 4 innings. I mean, he can go shorter rest. I mean, he's got a healthy UCL, unlike Riley's. I mean, you could throw him out there, just see what you get. But yeah, that was a weird spot for him, I thought, Megan.
Yeah, I still don't know if I fully understand it, other than it's just kind of like, well, what do we have left to throw out here, sort of thing.
Right. Your only other real lefty option is maybe Bo Bryans, who comes in later, lefty, with all those lefties coming up. Because I mean, after that, you went Banks, Blackwood, Morris, and Buchanan, all righties beyond that. So we were kind of, Heiberger had been burned. I mean, had gotten hit pretty hard early, had thrown the day before too, so he probably couldn't go way too long. So I don't know, just one of those days where I think the key to this team is there are bullpen arms that can get you an inning or 2 here and there, but your starters got to get you 5 or 6 if we're going to be competitive in a game like this. And when you get out of the game, you're already in the pen in the second inning. Nothing against Aiden. I mean, they just hit him. I mean, it's just, you're going to have to get more than that in the postseason. So that's probably, to me, a key to this weekend is you've got to get long starter. You got to get some starter, type innings like we did in the regionals in 23 when we won. When we won at home, you had a great outing from Holman, a great outing from McNary. I mean, GMAC. I mean, you set yourself up for success with the way the starters kind of set the tone for the game. All right, so we kind of covered most of the surprises of the weekend. Let's talk a little bit before we jump out to our regional about Ole Miss and the work they did this weekend. Right, you just arm after arm after arm, and then Vandy the same thing, arm after arm after arm. And Vandy gave up 3 runs. Is that what I remember? The whole weekend it was something crazy. Looked like a different Vandy team than we faced a few weekends ago, right, Roger?
I think the series with Alabama turned them around. I mean, they were already starting. They had started building momentum, but that last comeback, I think that was really the catalyst to what they're doing.
Yeah,
because they've started bombing the ball. I mean, we looked at their stats when we were playing them: 4 home runs here, 3 home runs here, 5 home runs there. Somebody had hit a home run, and that's his second home run of the season. And it's I mean, had guys just, and then now it's like they're just crushing the ball.
Some big dudes,
and pitching. Yeah. Some big dudes in a small park. And just like, I don't know what was going on with that, but they're gelling at the right time.
Right. It was definitely a pitcher's. It was a pitcher's tournament, right? I mean, the ball. It's a bigger park in Hoover, but for Drew, you were there for a few of the games. Just not carrying there at all. I mean, we've seen more home runs than that. At that place before.
Seems like granted, I didn't see the last 3 days because I was at the beach. I did see some highlights, but a lot of solo home runs. We got the one from Brady that I believe was a solo, and Torres dang near got one out of their opposite field. That was right off the yellow.
I'm still not sure it didn't hit.
So he got a lot of no real missiles. I mean, the one that the Missouri guy hit against us just snuck over. It was a line shot. I saw one in the Georgia-Oklahoma game that barely went over. So it seems like in the past there's been more, even in a bigger park, the ball has traveled more, but not really so much this week that I can recall.
Thoughts on Ole Miss and what they did, Megan?
I mean, I'll be fully honest. I watched a lot of the tournament. I don't know if I took much in because we were out and it didn't matter at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of what Ole Miss does every year. I'm not
Mhm.
keeping up with them, but have they started calling for, Mike's job? Because
Yeah.
usually when they start calling for his
When they
job,
start firing,
this stuff
yeah.
is what happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but you think about what they did in the last weekend and then in the tournament. I mean, they take 2 out of 3 from Auburn, who, by the way, is the number 4 national seed, whether we agree with that or not.
We
So they
don't.
took 2 out of 3. Then they go down here, they win. You know what they win? I guess they would have won Wednesday, Thursday. What they win 3 games, I guess, and then lose one to at the end. And I mean, again, a tight game at the end. They just didn't hit the ball real well. But man, the have you seen between them and LSU, and I mean, just all the guys just pumping gas. LSU, 100 miles an hour. Um, Jacob Myers looked like he did,
Right. For Nichols.
throwing harder. Now they can come in and throw 1 or 2 innings. But man, has Ole Miss got some arms even for the future. Some of those guys obviously are, draft eligible, but even some young arms coming in. It it maybe set me back a little. I don't know about y'all, that I look and I see these arms at those places, and while we've got good arms and good pitchers, we don't got guys throwing. We can't just bring them in one after the other throwing that hard, right, Drew?
Well, I think one of the things that we've struggled that has kind of held us back a little bit this year is when you look at that velocity. So we have
Mhm.
at least 3 guys off the top of my head in the bullpen: Aiden Moza,
Mhm.
Ariston Veazey, and Bo Bryans, who can throw at
Yeah,
95, 94 to
95,
96,
6. Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
even 97. I think Veazey's 97 sometimes.
right.
But
Yeah.
whatever reason, Veazey and Bryans can't get it over the plate
Yeah,
consistently, like
it's
at
control,
all.
consistency.
And
Yeah.
then Moza, we gave up on him. He was really good his sophomore year for us, but this year we don't know what the deal is.
Mhm.
Haven't seen him since I think the Mississippi State Friday game. So,
Yeah.
yeah, our pitching staff looks totally different if those guys are a lot better than they are. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
you bring in those guys, and I think a lot of these schools probably have guys who struggle with command and
Uh-huh.
consistency, but I
Right.
don't know that we have as much margin for error. So you got to have more pitchability guys like a Braylon Myers who can get
Mhm.
it done.
Yeah, I found it interesting, watching the games all weekend, Roger. Just the broadcasters just talking about the velocity, and Kyle Peterson up there, and they're asking KP. I mean, how many guys did you see throw 100 when you were playing? You're like,
Right.
maybe one, and I mean they're like, however many he said in college baseball they'd gone over 100. It was
It's crazy.
20-ish or something
Drew,
crazy.
was it you that said you thought the gun was a little hot there?
Maybe okay,
Maneuver,
yeah.
or maybe it was Kent.
Yeah, it was
Somebody I was
me.
sitting with.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Kent said, I think that gun's a little hot because,
Mm-hmm.
I think, we've seen Braylon hit 93 here and there,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
94 in the
big
fall.
4.
And he was
Mhm.
hitting some 93 and I know it was whoever it was, somebody else. Well, I think one of those SEC unfiltered guys, or
Mhm.
somebody said that one of the pitchers had told him the mound seems higher
Does it? Okay,
there.
interesting.
Now
Yeah.
I know it's supposed to be a standard, I'm
Uniform.
sure, but
8
said the
inches the road.
pitchers felt like they were really able to bring it off of that mound.
Yeah.
Actually, that was one of the dads that told me that.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. The last SEC team we'll touch on because they're done. A&M. Um, uh, you know,
Kind of
they
hate they didn't get in if you kind of think about it.
yeah.
I think about the possible repercussions of it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Keep an eye on that deal over there. You think? You think something's going to go down? Is that a one and done situation? You think coach is back? It hadn't happened yet. I mean, like
No, it
Monday,
hadn't happened yet, and
yeah,
that's
Black Monday in the NFL. I mean, you
right.
Yeah,
separate out immediately.
I
kind of
think
sorry.
Yeah.
they think they may ride it. Although for them or for anybody, really, it can't be a huge buyout.
No, no.
I mean,
I think the guy probably would have paid them to let him have that job there
right.
but
So
but a strong finish. I mean, I thought. I mean, obviously they kind of blew it with the Missouri sweep is still just probably the most improbable thing that happened in all of college baseball this year. 0-24 team wins, sweeps this team that's kind of gotten its act together and maybe has the potential to, jump its way into a regional thing, win 13 games. And they get swept. And then, of course, Missouri goes and gets swept the next weekend. And it went like Missouri had righted the ship.
And not just swept, like 25-7, run ruled, including 25-7 and 15-1.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's a mystery team. A lot of injuries there, mind you, but it didn't click. I'm not going to be surprised if that's a one and done. But props to those guys because they showed up and they won a couple of games here. Jason Lavalette gets hit, breaks a bone somewhere in I guess probably I think it must have been here, kind of this part of the hand.
Carpal is what they were saying.
Yeah, somewhere up in here, maybe
right there.
Right
yeah,
there.
like the middle.
Yeah,
ring finger.
but still can manage to swing a bat even after being under, probably
doesn't have surgery. Yeah, doesn't have surgery and comes out and swings.
General anesthesia that morning, or if they had to, maybe they could do it local. But props to him. Always a great guy to watch. I mean, we kid about the teams we don't like in the league or whatever, and A&M being a cult and whatnot. But I mean, Jason's a guy you had to respect. I mean, just like Jack Hagwin and like Tommy Tanks. I mean, there have been guys in this league that you can't help but respect. Pretty gutty performance. I mean, have you ever seen anything like that?
You think about Tim Elko playing with a torn ACL, but he waited until after the season to have surgery.
Yeah.
Now he's hitting bombs in the big leagues.
No, the big leagues. Yeah, that's right.
Elko probably the closest.
Yeah.
Trying to think of anybody else.
Yeah,
Tommy Seidel with the torn.
Yeah, Tommy running out there. Yeah, with the
and never letting up.
Yeah.
So that's
last thing I'll mention, of course, Hoover, great. Well, I didn't get to go this year. Obviously, I had a prior engagement that occupied me for the week. Great week in Hoover. It sounded like, again, I mean, record attendance. I mean, it was like the third largest attended game, that final. And that's Vandy and Ole Miss. I mean, that wasn't LSU and Tennessee or Alabama. I mean, it's just always that way. It seems like they could fill up seats along those berms, and they'd fill them up. I guess the Big 12 is going to shift out of Global Life and go out west to one of the spring training parks or something they're going to next year. Didn't I see that, Drew? But
Surprise, Arizona, I believe is where
Arizona. You think that's I mean, obviously the SEC's locked in here till 28, right? Through 28. Are they gonna ever move this thing?
What I think is that conference tournaments need to be played in ballparks like this and the one in Surprise, Arizona. So hopefully not. With Sankey, you just never know. Globe Life, I think, would be bad. I just don't think it would be much fun.
Yeah, it'd be awful.
And we can't be catering to the Texas schools, especially Texas. So, gosh, I hope we can keep it here in Hoover forever. We'll see. We got a mayoral election this year, so I know the incumbent Brocado is he loves them some Hoover baseball here in Hoover. Hopefully, Chief Durzis, if he wins, then hopefully he's the same way.
All right, Roger, your thoughts?
I think other schools seem to love coming there too. I mean, it's just a perfect setup for you got all the parking, you got the RV setup, you got, they put on a great event. They really do an excellent job with it. And I mean, I've not heard any SEC fans that are there say, I wish this was in Memphis or Orlando or
some soulless downtown
ballpark. Right.
And the ACC tournament looks pretty cool down in Durham. I mean, but I doubt you've got a fan base like the Mississippi States, the Ole Misses, and the LSUs that are going to pull the RV in on there on Tuesday and stay there. Damn sure getting that from Miami and Stanford and Cal. I mean,
you had teams that weren't playing until Friday. Pulled up they were in there Tuesday morning when we got there. I mean, you got LSU, they're huge setup. You got you got the Mississippi schools. You got it's just there's such a good mixture of everybody, and it's, the expansion has changed it a little bit, but
It has,
it's
sure.
still generally is still centrally located for the majority of the
For most of
conference.
them. Yeah. 3 hours from Nashville, 3 hours from Oxford, but 2 to 3 from anywhere in Mississippi, mostly.
Yeah.
Georgia, 2.5-ish to get to Birmingham, and of course you got Alabama, Auburn based right there.
Right.
LSU's probably the furthest away of the kind of conventional powers, but they're in full force. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Right. Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky's not. They don't have a huge fan base anyway, but they're
right.
gonna have some representation. Arkansas does well.
Yeah.
A&M gets followed. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw some Oklahoma people. So
yeah, it's good. Good deal. All right. So enough on the SEC tournament. Let's talk about the regional. Okay. Here's the topic we all want to talk: the host snub. Meghan, give me your best argument for why we got screwed on the host snub, and then maybe give me one of kind of argue debate yourself here. Why we got snubbed? You're an academician. You ought to be able to debate both sides of an argument. Why we got snubbed and why we shouldn't have, and then maybe why, if I'm the committee, I put a Southern Miss in or a UCLA or whatever the hell, somebody like that in over in Alabama.
I think it really, and I think I said this, last episode I was on, of why we wouldn't get it would come down to the number of SEC teams that got in.
Yeah.
And I
which
think
which we all agree is not the way they should do it, I think. But they do. Right. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then I think that's a lot of it. If you're listening to the SEC teams, it's the committee, or it's the metrics of it. It looks bad if the SEC has too many hosts in it, regardless of the nature of it's supposed to be the best teams that are being. And I think when you look at everything, if you look at RPI, if you look at KPI, they're talking about that. That is a bigger metric over the RPI. Is that KPI? We have that. The quad 1 wins, the quad 2 wins. We had that. We, everything from the number standpoint. I don't know if I can make that counter argument other than they didn't want it to be another SEC school for why it wasn't us.
Right. I'll give you one on the counter. I think the optics of the fact that, or the optics are just the way to generate buzz during this week in such a narrowly. I mean, they're probably 19, maybe 20 if you count Dallas Baptist. The top 20 in the RPI all had an argument for being a host site. Let's go 21 because Georgia Tech. I'll give them that. The fact that we were done playing by Wednesday afternoon at about 3:00 before anyone was really paying attention to the conference tournaments, I think kind of screwed us. Drew, your thoughts on kind of the same questions for you to Meghan?
Yeah, I think you kind of saw our RPI slide down throughout the rest of the week. So I thought after we lost Tennessee, we were probably done for. So I was not disappointed, but not surprised. I think the fact is, though, when you compare us to Southern Miss, I mean, we have every metric advantage. And so the thing is, though, it's now you got to go prove it on the field. I think our guys are going to be locked in, but when you have to go to Southern Miss, I mean, it's going to be a raucous environment. I mean, they have a strong baseball tradition. That doesn't mean they should have been hosting a regional, but you look at like D1 baseball apparently it's very heavily influential media outlet as it should be, because then you see they have the chair and they're like, yeah, we're just looking at D1 baseball to see who's doing well. And like, come on, guys. I mean, why? I know I'm glad the guy kept his team out last, but the USM athletic director, Jeremy McLean, was on there. He actually was at Troy, which got screwed, I thought, before he went there. So just a lot of and then, Kendall Rogers is trying to say the last regional hosts out were TCU and Georgia Tech. And I'm
Tech,
they were worse than we were. I'd have been fine with TCU getting it over Southern Miss, but they were all worse than we were.
Florida.
Yeah. So
TCU 18, the RPI, Georgia Tech 21. We were 13.
Yeah. So I would if you really just want to do the things the wrong way and limit the SEC, probably should have given that other spot to TCU instead of Southern Miss. Put a Big 12 who probably played a tougher schedule. So yeah, it is what it is. We can't let that affect us. Our guys, I'm sure they're fired up, pissed off. So you got to go play the games no matter where they send you.
Right. And first four out, like you mentioned, Troy, who, again, the former athletic director.
Troy, sorry to interrupt you, but they played Southern Miss last weekend of the season at home. They got swept in that game, and then they lost to them once in the tournament. If they win one of those home games, that probably gets Troy in the tournament, and that probably knocks Southern Miss from being a host seed, and we may very well be hosting a regional. So it's crazy how one game, and we point to one game on our end all over.
Exactly, a couple innings, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy how it unfolded this year.
And the other thing, the chairman of the committee, who I thought was very thoughtful in the way he discussed things. I think they did a good enough job. I mean, it's a tough job, and you got to pick between these teams, and we probably didn't do the things we needed to do to make it a lock. But the chairman of the committee was Southeastern Louisiana, who was also one of the first four out.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So I mean,
they won their league regular season, and then they lost in the semifinals of the tournament.
Southland Conference, is that?
I think that's what it is. Yeah. And they, I talked to Taylor Dugas a lot throughout the year, and he said they were really good. They had a really good Friday night pitcher, and then it was just kind of up in the air after that. But they could hit.
Exactly.
Evan Bush is their hitting coach, and they were good. They were strong, and could have been one of those teams that got in. But with that conference, it's very hard. They kind of knew it,
right?
But their AD being the chairman of the committee, I was hoping would help Alabama and Southeast, but
it's one thing for the Southeast was 54 in the RPI. What hurts them is they're 0-3 in quad one, they're 8-3 in quad two. Most of their games are quad threes and fours. 130th strength of schedule. So and again, there just aren't. I heard one of the the committee chair talk about you got 13 SEC teams got in. Maybe it was between the Big 12 and the it was ACC. You got to a point. It's like with after all them get in, there's only about 8 other at-larges that you even have a spot for.
And I don't think they were upset that they didn't get in. They knew they needed to win their tournament.
Exactly. Yeah.
It would have been nice if they had.
Yeah. Roger, your thoughts? Because again, give me your best argument for Alabama being screwed, but your best argument for Alabama didn't deserve it over Southern or UCLA or somebody.
16-14 in the SEC, 13-0 midweek, 24-1 and out of conference. Strong strength of schedule, strong RPI. Beat two whatever rinky-dink conferences are in that they're in that are hosting. Beat both of them straight up.
Yep.
And Coastal and Southern Miss.
Right.
What else? Better facilities than some of the ones that got jobs.
Which you get in softball, right? Which you get a lot of that.
You get that in softball. Now, if you want to go the negative, I guess only won 4 out of 10 SEC series.
Yeah.
Well, and then took back to the good, didn't get swept.
Yes.
And as one of y'all said earlier, every team we played, we beat at least once this year. Now, like say on the opposite side, 4 out of 10 series. Well, Tennessee only won 4 out of 10 series.
Right.
And they didn't get swept either. They did a little more work in the SEC tournament, obviously, by beating Alabama. But
ultimately, do you think that Alabama-Tennessee game was an elimination game? If we win that, maybe
I didn't really think so when it was happening.
I didn't at the time.
Yeah, but it sure seemed that way. And then I think a lot of it went by what other teams did. Southern Miss did not win their tournament.
No, lost the final to Meghan's chance.
And they didn't play each other in the
and they didn't play in the
regular
regular
season.
season. I mean,
Yeah.
Troy took a series from Coastal.
I mean, Coastal might have beat them 2 out of 3 or swept
Sure.
them. You know, and Troy could have helped us out by not getting swept by them.
Yeah, that hurt.
And then Auburn actually could have helped us by sweeping Ole Miss probably, but Ole Miss got hot right here at the end.
Right in, yeah.
Tennessee made their way in as a host, not into the tournament, obviously.
Right. I'll say this because I tweeted it out after kind of on the day the selection show was going on. Final RPI was 13. We were the highest among non-hosts. All right. 4 teams with lower RPIs are hosting. That's Florida State, who is 14. Their strength of schedule was 24. UCLA was 15. Their strength of schedule was 22. Oregon was 17. Their strength of schedule was 36. Southern Miss was 19 with the strength of schedule was 67. Our strength of schedule was what, 20? Is that what I remember? So I mean, we're 47 slots higher than them in strength of schedule and 6 higher in RPI overall. Not to mention the quad 1s and the quad 2s that were just blowing their doors off. Ultimately, I think having their AD on the selection committee in that situation for them probably won the day for. I'm not taking anything away from them. They might blow our doors off this weekend. But they certainly that had to help. We had 15 quad 1 wins. Only 4 teams in the country had more than us: Vandy, Auburn, Texas, Ole Miss. 3 of those are top 8 national seeds. Okay, the committee really does kind of get caught up in these. To me, these more of the trendy picks, or let's let the little guys have their say. And I mean, and again, you look and the 16 are top 19 RPI, right? So RPI is a heavy indicator. Somebody might get squeezed, but I mean, I do think ultimately it came down to we can't give the SEC 9 slots. Really, you're really going to give them 9 slots? Let's let somebody else have a shot at this. But then I go back to if we'd have closed out that Vandy game on Sunday, we're at 17 wins. We're a lock. I mean, I think we again you'd have beat RPI number 1 at that point. Our RPI might have been 11 or 10 at that point. There's no way we get held out. The Florida game, we had a 5-run lead. The opener of that series that killed us. 18 wins versus 16, or 17 wins versus 16 over the teams that we play would have made a major difference. Florida and TCU were the only 3 in the top 19 of the RPI who kind of got squeezed. Now, fortunately, we got sent to the 16th seed. Florida gets sent to Coastal, right? I mean, so that's it's a tough draw, but it's probably as tough for Coastal as it is for Florida. And where TCU go? I guess they got sent out west somewhere, but I just lost it. I had it on a thread. I had the bracket up there. I don't know if they got sent out to Oregon or they went to Texas or one of those. But anyway, not kind of the key part of my argument here. But again, I can argue it either way. I mean, obviously, as a fan and I'm biased, I want to see it happen one way, and it didn't. Let's talk about the 8 SEC teams and who do you think? I mean, do you get 8? Do you get 8 in the Super? Do you get those 8? Do you get how many? These SEC teams are going to run up through the Supers? You got to probably pull up a bracket and kind of look at this. But what are your thoughts on that, Meghan? You got any? Have you delved into it deeply enough to?
I have it pulled up. I'm looking through right now. Do I think all 8 get it? No, I don't think that's
never happens.
Ever going to be. It's never going to be the case.
Yeah.
We match up with Vandy, assuming that we win. A Vandy loss will not hurt my feelings. If that can give us a chance to host a Super. Like honestly, I don't know. I haven't looked in it in depth.
Yeah.
As far as who could.
Yeah, I think as I scanned it, I mean, I felt like, it feels like to me Auburn's got a cakewalk. I think Florida comes out of the coastal region. Oregon, Arizona's out with Oregon. I mean, that's their only hurdle there. I think, Oregon probably wins that. Carolina felt like they got, I said originally, oh, Carolina's looks like a cakewalk. Then I think about it and I'm like, okay, Oklahoma, I mean, you got to beat Kyson Weatherspoon at some point. And they're sitting in a 2-game when Nebraska's a 3. I could throw my Saturday or Sunday guide at them, right, Drew, and say Kyson for North Carolina. And I mean, if I win that game, I'm I don't know if I got the depth to go 4 or 5 games that weekend, but you think that one's maybe one that,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how healthy. I think they were battling some injuries late in the year.
yeah,
But they got some good arms. I mean,
exactly.
Crossland, I think, is a pretty good arm. I haven't followed him as
Mhm.
much since we played him, but I think he's pitched well since he
Yeah.
took a 7 ERA into our game against them, and they beat us. So
uh,
I think there's going to be at least 8 SEC teams in the supers. I don't know which 8 right now, but
right.
you know what? There's 13 in the regionals. So I mean, I'd be
Yeah.
shocked if there weren't at least 8 in
Yeah.
the supers in some form. There's going to be one that loses at home, maybe 2, but
Right.
I think one of Alabama, Florida, and even Oklahoma, you know, could win a regional.
Yeah.
The Ole Miss regional has
It's got
a chance for Ole Miss to end up not coming out of that with
yeah.
having
Yeah.
Georgia Tech go in
Georgia
there.
Tech's a good team. Yeah.
Mhm.
Texas, I'm not real concerned about Texas there with UTSA as a 2. I mean, come on. You mentioned
We should
that.
have done our brackets before we recorded the podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
I think
Yeah.
we failed our listeners by that. We
I
could have,
can't believe UK got in. Kentucky got in actually.
Yeah.
Over
Georgia at home. Georgia's been so good at home. I just can't see them
Yeah.
dropping that one. I mean, they've been excellent at home. LSU. All right, you got Little Rock, you got Rhode Island, you got DBU. DBU's a good program, but I mean, I can't see anyone coming out of that one.
Yeah, I
But,
think all the D1 guys said that LSU had the easiest regional by
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
So
Tennessee's is surprisingly easy. I mean, again, Wake Forest is the 2, but this is not your father's Wake Forest, right, Megan?
No, it's
from a
not the
couple
Wake
years.
Forest that we went to
No.
a few years ago by any means. I think that Clemson, Clemson regional could be interesting too. West Virginia is a pretty good ball club.
Yeah. Good
Kentucky's,
pitching club.
been streaky at best, but they
Mhm.
can get hot at the right moment. We've seen that before too.
Right. And finally, Arkansas. I mean, I've been the Arkansas fanboy all year, but at times I've probably been vindicated. At times I look like a fool. Our North Dakota State Bison get them in the first go round, but then there's a Creighton and Kansas opposite them. Kansas is a 2, Creighton is a 3. Any chance in hell, Big 12 or our greatest basketball rival takes out Arkansas, Roger?
No.
Okay. That's what I thought. So again,
I-
I don't know how many that adds up to, but I mean, obviously we all think we're going to win. I think we mostly think, except for Meghan, who has to, recuse herself like she's a Supreme Court justice. A lot of us, I think Florida's got a shot there. So give me your number. How many SEC teams advanced to supers?
10.
You got 10. All right, Megan.
Come back to me. Go to Drew first.
I'll
Okay,
go 9.
You're going 9. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know which 9, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking.
Right. All right, Megan.
I think I'll agree with 9.
You going 9? I think I go 9 too. I think I go 9 too.
I'm probably being a little. I've got Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma not advancing.
Right. And I mean, interestingly, there's a lot of potential SEC all like the super matchups. I'm trying to find the tweet because I had kind of organized it. Give me 1 second, I'll find it if I can get to it. There were at least 2 that are gonna be, where the ones are paired up, I guess, right?
Ole Miss and Georgia would play each other in
Right.
a super if they both went. Ole Miss and
All right, here it
Georgia.
is. Yeah, here it is. I found it. 3 supers have no shot of being all SEC because there's no, there's either one SEC team or no SEC teams in the matchups. 2 likely with ones in all 4 regionals. All right, so it's two ones matching up with 2 ones. All right, you got 2 possible because you got Vandy and Auburn in one in as 1 seeds, and you got Alabama and Florida as 2 seeds. So if the twos win those and the ones hold chalk, you know, you got two possible there. One very remote, again, if Kentucky could somehow come out of that regional as a 3, they go to LSU. So I mean, you could potentially have a kind of an all SEC weekend in a lot of those weekends in the supers. And again, that's looking ahead, but that's what we're here to do. Other snubs, I mean, again, we Alabama, we've dwelled on Alabama. Who else has the best of the other 3 I mentioned? TCU or Georgia Tech? Who would have had the better argument there?
TCU, maybe.
All right, you say TCU, you say Georgia Tech. So
yeah.
Well, no, I was saying Georgia Tech won the ACC regular season.
Yeah,
I think they didn't play a lot of they didn't play a lot of the tough schools in the ACC. I think that's what I read.
Yeah.
And
so
who was it that didn't go to Florida State because of the shooting?
Virginia.
That's right. Yeah,
so they got left out.
They got left out entirely. Exactly.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Good point. Very good point.
So I mean, you know, that could have flipped them to go or taken Florida State out of a host. You know,
could have. Yeah, very well could have. Yeah, Megan, you got an argument one way or the other for TCU or Georgia Tech, or you just don't care about them?
I quite honestly don't care.
Okay, good. That's right. Georgia Tech was probably the darling with the coach retiring after 30-ish years or whatever. Right. And that's the kind of, interestingly enough, I mean, the committee gives the Southern Miss, goes the Southern Miss route, but doesn't reward Georgia Tech for winning the ACC and having a 20 or 21 RPI and their coach on a farewell tour. So it's interesting. I don't think the committee did a terrible job. I thought the chairman was very good in the interview afterward, but it does feel like we kind of did ourselves an injustice by being out of the conversation by just not playing as that week went on. All right, enough of regionals, but let's talk about our regional now that we're focused on. You got Miami. Again, I'd say the same thing. Probably not your father's Miami or your grandfather's Miami. First time we played them since 1999. We were talking about this in the green room before. Roger, Drew, y'all had the deets on that? 99 Miami games?
Yeah. I don't remember. I know we lost to them twice in that series.
Yeah.
And in 97.
The college World
yeah.
Series.
And so they eliminated us. 97.
Men's college. I'm sorry,
yes,
men's
college World Series, the MCW. And in the 97, they beat us. I think we beat Oklahoma State, and then they beat us, and then we had to beat Mississippi. We beat Mississippi State, lose to Miami, beat Mississippi State again, and then we beat Miami twice. And the last game was a win over JD Arteaga, who is their head coach now, was their ace pitcher. And so we hit him up for 8 runs in the 3rd inning, got home runs from Matt Frick and Mark Peer. I remember it like it was yesterday. And then go and then lose to LSU the next day. But huge win for our program that day. And I'm sure Coach Arteaga's had this circled on his calendar for the last 26 years, almost 30 years. So I don't know anything about Miami. I'm sure they're going to be tough. If I had to predict how the game's going to go, we're probably going to win 6-5 and use up all of our bullpen arms. But hey, a win's a win, so we'll see what happens.
Right. All right. So you got them. Obviously, that's our first round matchup. Then you got Southern, who we saw earlier in the year. And as a reminder, we beat Southern Miss, which again kind of mystifies how this all shook out. We beat Southern Miss by a score of 10-6 on what was the date? It was April something or another, doesn't matter. It was a midweek game. We beat them 10-6. They out-hit us 12-11. If you recall, they jumped out to a 4-0 lead. We started chipping away in the 4th inning. We got a couple of runs. Then we just bombed them in the 6th inning. If you remember, Richie hits a homer, 2-run homer. You get the Brady Neal double down the line and left. It kind of, I think, the left fielder Chase, I don't remember if it hit his glove or it kind of went off him, but bases loaded and we cleared the bases. And then it was the Peyton Steele legacy game. He hits hits a home run in 8th. He was starting as the DH that night or in left field. I can't remember. I think it was after Snell and Richie
had collided. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think he was either playing left or DH in that night. Hits a homer down the left field line, and we win that game 10-6. We talk about this a lot when we play these teams midweek, and the Troys and the Southerns. These are really good teams. They got really good pitching staffs. We don't see their best arms. They probably don't see our best, starting. I say starting arms on a Tuesday night in the middle of April. But Southern could flat pitch.
That one guy in particular is really good.
Right. You expect you're going to see him, or you think he goes in the Columbia game? And Columbia is the fourth team, and a team who beat our ass 2 out of 3 times in at the Joe back in 2023.
2023, yeah.
In 2023 they came to town, and one game just pounded it like 15-2 or something as bad. You think you get their ace on Saturday, or you get if you win, assuming you win,
yes.
Are you going to get you can get their second guy?
I would say you get the ace.
My counter is that our buddy Mark Etheridge thinks that Columbia is one of the top 2 or 3, 4 seeds.
Yeah.
And Eric Sorensen, who picked us to go to Omaha, he thinks that Southern Miss throws someone beside JB Middleton, their ace, and they'll get beat by Columbia. So my hope, I really want to go to Hattiesburg Saturday, but I want to have a ticket. My hope is that we're playing Columbia in a winner's bracket game on Saturday, because we got some revenge. It's a revenge game for us. I think 2023, guys like Hodo I think Hodo played a lot in that series.
He sure did.
So it's an interesting call. And then it's also, what do we do? Do we imagine we keep things rolling with Faye and then quick?
You think you go Faye game 1?
I do.
Yeah, it's hard to go against, or hard to, if I'm predicting, to go against what we do. But you win that, and then we don't lose when Riley Quick pitches. So
we had much at all.
Yeah, we got to. I don't want that game to be a loser's bracket game when he pitches. So, we got to score some runs against Miami and not use all of our top 4 bullpen arms, and especially not Osmer. But that's going to be our secret to winning the regional. I really think we need to win this first game like 10-2 or something like that.
Yeah. Going back, I'm jumping ahead, but Southern Miss, you mentioned JB Middleton. 10-1 record. His whip is .83. He's got a 2.01 ERA, 114 strikeouts, 24 walks. This guy's been 8 up 98 innings this year. Looks like there are other starters. You got Matthew Adams, 6-2 with 3.93 ERA. Another guy struck out 77, walked 20. This team, they do not walk a lot of guys. They walked 186 guys all year. Opponents walk they walk 251 times. And their third, which again, we don't have to worry about this necessarily, guy named Graydon Harris. He was 4-3 with a 3.63. Not as big of as much of a strikeout pitcher, but there's 2 pretty solid starters on that team between JB Middleton and Matthew Adams. So either one you get is going to be a tough arm, and not somebody you got to see probably Tuesday midweek in the game that was played in Tuscaloosa. I think they threw. Well, Adams did throw that game. Adams threw through 4 innings that game, so I guess we did get to see him. So interesting they took that approach, because he seems to have been a starter most of the year. Miami, again, I'm like y'all. I don't know a hell of a lot about Miami. I look at their pitching staff, and the guys that really chewed up a lot of innings. You got Gage Zeal, Ziehl, 8 wins, 4 losses. He got 4.30 ERA, 8 up 92 innings. Let's see, the next best probably Alejandro Rosario, 8 up 68, 69 innings. Had 4 wins. You got who's this other guy? Here he is. It really doesn't look like it. As I go down their pitching list, I don't see the guys out there that chewed up a lot of innings. I kind of get the feeling maybe they swapped a lot of Zeal started 16 games, Rosario started 14, and then you kind of got a mix. You got Carson Ligon, 4.80 ERA through 50 innings. He started 10 games. You got who else? Man, not a lot of starts there. They just, really just didn't. It kind kind of looks like you're probably going to see one or the other of those two, and then they're just kind of going to be hoping for it, hoping for the best. To me, the key, and one of y'all kind of said it, if you go Faye that first game, you probably go Faye because he can chew up 5 or 6 innings, and you absolutely got to have that, right, Megan?
Yeah, I mean, we don't do if we start using our whole bullpen day one, we're not going to out of reach.
Yeah, right. Do any of y'all see a scenario where we lose a game and win this regional? I don't.
Not unless it's the at the very end, to put you on the Monday, then you got a shot because everybody should be
because everybody's in that boat.
Right.
That's a good point. I mean,
you can't lose the first or second game.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely not the first. That would you puts you in a very precarious situation.
Right. Drew, any chance?
No, I think what I was going to say is, so I was hearing you call it the Miami names.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you Google, and I saw this earlier, when you Google the Miami stats, it brings up the ones from either last year or the year before. Because as soon as you said Carson Ligon, he's at Mississippi State this year. And I knew he had transferred.
Oh, is that
so there's some totally different names.
Oh, hell, I've got the 22-23.
Yeah, I was watching the Pacers game, waiting for you to call my name, and then when I heard that name, I said, "Yeah, I better get."
Let's we might just have to ask Christian. Let's ask Christian to edit this out.
Yeah. I think Griffin Hughes is their top guy.
Exactly. I was looking at their stuff.
It shows you I hadn't seen a thing of Miami this year.
Their top 4 guys can really hit. There's how do you say it? Corvette. Daniel, 378 with 16 and 76, and then
right. Yeah. But not a lot of, from a home run standpoint, the team only hit 68 home runs all year. Not a power hitting team necessarily. Team batting average of 273. Not great for for overall ACC. Right. We aren't great, but I don't know if, let me see if I can get the conference splits on there. I don't know if they give it here.
Their team ERA is 5.03.
Yeah.
So let's see who their top guy is.
Probably that AJ. He didn't start. He's not a starter.
Hughes is there.
Hughes went 5 and he went 5 and 7 in 15 starts.
Yeah,
we probably see Hughes and not the guys from 2023 that I was first going through. Okay. Unfortunately, that won't get edited, but it'll be out there into perpetuity, and we'll look silly. But again, you just go back, and this is kind of the thing about this. We know these SEC teams every weekend. You know who you're going to get. You know exactly. You know what you're going to see. This is a bit of a mystery, and the staff's got to dig around and find whatever they can on these guys and scout them the best they can. But you really kind of, right, Megan, got to just worry about. You got to worry about you, right?
100%. And I think that's, the team's fired up. The team's, I think, probably mad that they didn't get the host spot that they felt like they did. I will say, honestly, I don't know if it's the worst thing that we didn't, because if we got a lower seed host, that could make supers harder. But taking that out of the equation, we can control what we can control, getting the bats going, right, getting on base, getting walks, getting people around, stealing. If we do everything that we're supposed to, then everything's going to take care of itself.
Right. Your thoughts on that, Roger? Just worrying about yourself versus the
Yeah, we just need to play well on all facets. Play good defense, pitch and hit, and just play smart.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Don't make base running mistakes. Don't throw pickoffs away.
Right.
And maybe run a little bit. I don't know about anything about their catcher or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, but it feels like a good point to reset. This team was supposed to be work counts, draw walks, get move runners over, steal bases. It kind of turned into a little more of a, damn, we need a 3-run homer if we're going to get anything out of
Yeah.
We didn't manufacture a lot of runs. I'll take the 3-run homers, but I wish we knock out more of them. feels like a good time to reset because it's like, man, we've been through a 32-game SEC grind, and now maybe you can take a little breather. You think you're good. You think you should have been hosting. Go beat Miami's ass and go beat Southern Miss's ass and set yourself up on Sunday to win this thing.
Right.
Drew, Megan,
Yeah.
any final thoughts on that? I'll take that as an affirmative that you totally agree with me. Let's jump into. All right, let's predict it. What we're sitting here, we're delayed. We're not going to do this Monday because we're still playing on Monday. If that happens, does Alabama win this thing?
Good chance.
Yeah, I mean, if we're there on Monday, I mean, I kind of feel like if we win that fourth game, then we can probably win that fifth game. Or if it's a deal where maybe someone has to beat us twice, I still probably feel better. Because if you think about that, let's say we beat Southern Miss Saturday with Riley, and then they beat us Sunday, and then you're basically playing them kind of like a reverse of that midweek game. You probably have some guys who can throw, and then they'll be out some guys. Atmosphere down there probably we kind of died down a little bit on a Monday because everybody's tired and has to work and all that. So might even be a day game for all we know. So I think if it's a deal like that, we could win it.
Right. Megan, do we have enough pitching to get through if we get into an extended series? Because I have my doubts.
And that would be my biggest worry about all of it. If we can come out and even if we were to lose, if we can win game one and, if they can give us 7, I would love to see that. I think he's shown that could potentially be there.
Yeah, exactly. Pitches to contact. He doesn't run up counts. I mean, you can do it.
Like, I think if that happens, then, there's a chance. But I also think we've seen there's just as much that if we start having to go to the bullpen because things have gone sideways, it's gone real sideways real quickly.
Right. Roger, your thoughts? What predict for me? What's kind of going to happen out here this weekend?
Beat Miami, beat Southern, and then win the whole damn thing on Sunday.
All right, there you go. All right. I feel like our best case is just winning 3 and being done with it because I feel like I don't want to say the staff has entirely lost confidence in guys out of the pen, but you can see how the last several weeks it's narrowed down to about 5 guys or 6 guys that they're going to go to. Now, when you got no options, I mean, you just go, and then it's kind of like, okay, Bo Bryant's get up there, give me 2 good innings, just give me 2 innings, don't walk anybody, don't hit anybody. Can you get catch them or somebody, guys like that?
Right. Well, Buchanan's actually had a pretty good year.
He really has
not to have been used as much lately.
Right.
I mean, like that 8th inning or whatever against Tennessee when things really got out of hand. He came in and basically he got a double, after we walked 3 or 4 in a row, whatever it was, and he just gets a double play on one pitch, and then here we go. So that's the guy that and he can throw a couple of 3 innings,
right?
Just depending on the situation. So, but like you said, it's really shrunk.
It really has. It's gotten way wedged down. And again, maybe the break or the guys haven't been doing as much work and they get a little reset. Maybe it helps. Maybe you get a legacy game out of Aiden Finateri goes out there, throws you 4 innings in middle relief or something, or something. Anybody like that. I mean, just using guys' names.
Yeah.
But, I think the fact that you get a Miami who's not as Miami as they used to be. Maybe you run to Columbia in the second round. Who knows? I mean, there's all kind of scenarios here.
Right.
Best case is you win 3. But I do feel this going into the weekend with Faye, Quick, Adams. I feel a hell of a lot better about our chances than any 3 of these other guys are going to start, don't y'all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Southern guys statistically match up, but who did they pitch against?
Yeah.
Right. And especially on rest. I mean, the rest these guys have gotten.
Right.
Quick hadn't thrown since he'll have almost 2 weeks of rest. I
Right,
mean, that can
right.
only help a guy who's still recovering from.
Yeah, and they and Southern made it all the way to the conference finals on was that Sunday or Saturday?
Right.
Sunday.
Yeah, down in Montgomery. Yep. Right.
So yeah, that's maybe more rested, focused, ready to go.
Yeah. Right, motivated, and I think that's the thing. I've seen our team. I mentioned this after the Florida game, the third Florida game. That looked like a very uninspired performance in that game when we got knocked around on the Saturday at Florida when there was a lot on the line. I mean, as it turned out, there's a hell of a lot on the line. I mean, you win that game, you probably blew your shot on Thursday, but you got to draw the motivation from somewhere. And maybe they're motivated and the team on the other side is just as good as them or better. But I mean, in this case, you're kind of back to a reset where maybe you got to draw on what you did all year in these midweek games to kind of treat it like that, because it's teams you don't see in the SEC every weekend. It's new meat, whatever, and so that's what I'm hoping we see. All right, let's go to questions. I got a lot of them, and we'll fly through them. Good one I got from Charles Branch, who always has good questions. Basketball guy, but with a great interest in baseball. We love to see it. Who would host a super between Louisville and Alabama? And we touched on this. And again, this is the scenario where Louisville's a 2, we as a 2 win the regional. They win at Vanderbilt, we win at Southern Miss, and we get paired up. Correct me if I'm wrong. This NCAA gets to decide and weighs in a bunch of factors, among them who's got the best bid, who's going to draw the most fans, make the most money. But ultimately, do they also kind of in a closed, smoke-filled room somewhere decide, hey, Alabama's a hell of a lot better team and deserved a regional?
You would hope so, but they didn't do that for hosting. So
yeah,
as I've said all along, waiting on this thing, I don't trust the committee. So
yeah, right. Is that a committee decision, or you think that goes back to maybe just the chairman of the committee? I mean, is it a?
I don't know the answer to that.
We had that happen in 2023 with Southern Miss.
23 is that in Tennessee? Yes.
Yeah. And I want to say it was the committee decided.
Okay. And they picked Hattiesburg over Knoxville, which was interesting.
Yes. But I don't think there really was any kind of discussion on like what led to, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
There is a criteria, but I don't think they publicly released really what went into it.
I mean, if they go to resume, ours is much better than Louisville.
Yeah. Right.
And I think you said Louisville averages less than 1,000 fans a game.
That's what I thought was one of the big factors there. We average about 3,500. They average,
and we know how to put a bid in, so we put a good bid in.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. And it seems like we don't know for sure, but it seems like we might have been the first number 2 seed.
Yeah,
based on going to number 16.
Right.
Or they just did that out of spite, one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, so here's some questions. Let's get into them. I got a bunch of them here. Let's just fly through them. Tyler Pemberton, if Zane Adams can be the guy that he has the potential to be and avoid hanging breaking balls that lead to big innings in early games, we win the regional. X factor, Zane Adams. Who's your X factor? Y'all got an X factor, whether it be a pitcher or a hitter? I'll start with you, Roger.
You want the obvious, or do you want?
Yeah, let's have that.
Justin
LeBron. Yeah. Well, just like we said for the Florida series, and didn't.
Right. But if you want something like off the radar, a Brennan Norton,
exactly, yeah,
or a Torres,
right,
to pop out really. I mean, they're both really hitting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Brennan was 4 for 8 in the SEC tournament, and he hit in the at the end of the series, the Florida series too.
Yeah.
So he's seeing the ball well. Torres has been making a lot better contact.
Yeah.
Going with pitches. Maybe a little extra motivation for him playing against his former team.
Sure.
It'd be nice to see him make contact, 4 at bats, and see what he can do with it, because when he does hit it, it does damage. So
Meghan or Drew, you got a X factor? Something off the reservation? Go ahead.
I mean, I think it has to be starting pitching is kind of the obvious one.
Yeah.
But I also like, I don't know if it's one specific person, but I think it's going to be some sort of like big defensive plays happening. Whether that's, whichever catcher, whether it's Platt, whether it's Brady, getting an out that maybe, really kind of shifts the momentum at some point during the weekend.
Maybe your right fielder and left fielder, right and center, Fowler and Richie chasing down something. Drew, anybody?
I'm going to go with Mississippi native Will Hodo.
There you go. All right. Awesome.
I'm going to call a multiple home run weekend out of him.
There you go.
He's my pick to click
Awesome.
of the non-obvious guys. I can see.
Okay.
I think we really need LeBron and Snell and Richie to do well, but Hodo's kind of the guy I think is going to have a few big hits this weekend.
All right, good deal. Tyler Wilcox at Johnny MySpace, loyal fan of the podcast, panelist on the Weekly Joe Extra with the Right Field Rangers. Why does the committee hate the Tide so much? We've talked about it a little bit. I mean, what do you think ultimately? Why did they clearly hate?
I think Kendall Rogers poisoned them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think D1 is that influential? I mean, I kind of do.
I mean, it pretty much played out what they were saying.
Yeah.
They're the biggest voice,
the
biggest.
Right. It's like we've said before, there's not like an ESPN game day. It's not there's not Herb Street and Saban and Desmond Howard. I mean, you kind of got these niche media outlets, but really, if anybody, it's probably D1 because you don't get that from KP and the guys on ESPN for college baseball. They're more, there's not as much commentary. I agree.
You look at the heavy hitters on this committee, so to speak, or maybe not the heavy hitters, but the chairman is the athletic director of a mid-major
conference,
small major, or whatever.
Right.
Who else is on that? McLean, Jeremy McLean, and Greg Seitz at Jacksonville State, who I've known for a while, but those guys are going to be talking to the media a lot more than Scott Strickland or John Cohen a few years ago. I know, and Scott Strickland's a media, but he probably wouldn't be talking to Kendall Rogers about a lot of baseball stuff. Maybe I could be totally wrong. Actually, I may be wrong because Strickland was at Mississippi State. So, there's probably is some Kendall Rogers influence on this. The whole Southern Miss deal, just the fact that he's been talking about it like they've been a slam dunk for weeks, even if they lost a game here and there, it just really baffles the mind because, they beat TCU 2 out of 3 in like February, and they're hot, but who have they beaten that's really any good? I mean, I don't think any of those wins are over regional teams. Troy was a bubble team, but and these guys are going to mostly be on the committee next year too. So we'll probably be going back to Southern Miss next year as well.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Here's one. John Young Sr., JYS, we'll call him. I think we are the best team in the regional and probably couldn't have gotten a better draw aside from hosting. I'm hearing there is no Applebee's in Hattiesburg, and that has me worried. Thoughts, Meghan?
I know there's a Sonic, but that's about as good as I can help with.
There's an Olive Garden. There's an Olive Garden if he wants to go there.
Never-ending salad bowl and the breadsticks, but no Applebee's.
There's one in Laurel, Mississippi, about 30 miles up the road.
Yeah.
It's got a 3.8 star rating on Google. So don't know if he wants to try that or not. But
Casey, who is at Casey, bunch of numbers. Rumor has it they have a Chili's. Alan Hodo, big fan of the podcast and dad of possibly the father of a Alabama first baseman. Unless the name is just a coincidence. This is not a defense of USM hosting, but I will say the Applebee's thing is blown way out of proportion. Applebee's can't survive there because Hattiesburg has a good local restaurant scene. So he's Mississippi all through and through. He knows it.
Well, I got a message from Stephanie Hodo that she sent to all the parents, and it's all the nice restaurants in the area.
Oh, good.
Several. I mean, they sound. They got great names. They sound amazing.
Yep. Heather, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, and just some other things like things to do and places to go.
All right. If you send that out, we can tweet it out on the podcast account or something if she's okay with that. Heather Overstreet asks, any advice for fans traveling to Hattiesburg and trying to get tickets? I think it's a tough ticket. I mean, they'll be 5,500 or 6,000. It's kind of their full capacity, but I think they kind of cram them in. You know, best thing I'd tell you is maybe just look at their ticket office, and if not, you know, check the StubHub. I don't think there's a whole lot of I don't think there's a whole lot there that we can give you aside from you know, be resourceful on it if you're going to try to get there. Will Ward at 15_Will. Who in the bullpen could step the hell up and throw strike, get outs, and dominate their opponents? That's a good question, Will. Who's your bullpen? Narrowing it down now. Who's your bullpen pick to click this weekend? Who's going to have the legacy weekend, Roger?
I mean, Braylon Myers has had a legacy season.
Yeah.
So I guess somebody other than Braylon or Oz. Let's see. Aiden Mosa.
Mosa, you think, you know, yeah, I mean, yeah, if you get into that fourth or fifth game, I mean, we haven't seen Aiden in a while, but
or perhaps Penitentiary, like you were saying, maybe get in there and go 4 or 5 innings.
Right. I think for me, bullpen wise, I mean, you know, again, not guys going in overpowering. This is all about eating up innings, because this is just a survival drill, right? I mean, this is not you don't expect these 3 games to be 3-2 type games. I mean, you're expecting 9-8s and 7-6s and that type of thing. So to me, it's more a matter of not necessarily dominating the opponent, but chew up innings for me. You know, I got 27 innings to get to a super at a minimum, and I need you, Aiden, to go give me 3. Go, JT, go give me 2 and 1/3 or something like that. That's kind of how I feel that works. Hayes Flowers, last year it seemed we as fans were thinking about if we'd be able to beat FSU. We never saw FSU, right? How do we mentally avoid trying to get back at Southern Miss for taking a host spot and focus on Miami for Friday? You think what do you think the mentality of this team is right now, Megan?
I think it's going to be easier to get up with the idea of like we have to beat Miami first. I think we have enough guys that were there last year. Now we also have a lot of new ones, but we have enough guys that were there that are like, we don't want to be in that same boat again. But I also think maybe there's not the overlook that maybe happened last year to that next game. We've seen it enough throughout the season of you got to win this next one. I think the team has this mindset of like, it is the game in front of us. It's not what's,
It's this
2 games down the line.
Yeah. I think I mentioned midweek mentality. Drew, you think that kind of helps? Take the approach taking midweek?
I think a couple. I think they're going to be really relieved just to not be playing an SEC team. But also, I think it might be more like, who was it? UCF? Is that we lost to last year?
Stetson and UCF.
UCF and Stetson, yeah.
I think the guys, if you really think about it, they're going to see Miami on the other side, and they're going to be pretty amped up to play a name brand like Miami. And they're not. I can't even remember when they last went to the College World Series, but they've won a few of them over the last 30 years or so. And they're more familiar. LeBron and Torres, they're familiar with Miami and guys like that. So I think we're going to come out and play a lot better than we did last year.
Right. Roger, you've been around the team a little bit, seen a couple, saw practice or so, workout. Feel pretty good about them?
Yeah. They got a lot of energy. They're not dragging around, feeling sorry for themselves. They kind of had a resolve about them.
Yeah.
Few of them said, hey, fuel for fire. We're fired up and we're going after it.
Right.
So, I feel good about their mental state.
Good. Connor Freeman at Connor F, a bunch of numbers. Did we go with Faye or Quick for game 1? I think we've resolved. We're all pretty well in agreement. You go with Faye. I mean, Riley's ready. He's ready. He's available. We think this. What do you think of this coaching staff? Are they going to view it as, oh man, you gotta kind of like Rob said, you got to go get it with your best and survive to day 2? Or do you think they're going Faye?
I think they're going Faye.
You think they're going Faye? Okay.
That's what they did last year with Ferrone.
That's true.
And Ferrone was cooked at the end of last year. Faye is not cooked, so I think he's going to give us a good start.
It's just, it's going to be unusual that at that point in the postseason, he would have 2 starts, and we hadn't seen Riley
or seen Riley at all. Yeah.
And barely saw Zane. But
all right, next one. Derek Zenry at King Zenry, who sends us one just about every week. How do we feel about our bats heading into the regional? Again, that's been the problem. You bitch about the pitching coach and pitching decisions. All you so-called fans. I'm gonna give you the RPI listing, that 330-ish teams on there. I'm gonna strike one of them off. Y'all go pick another team, because our problem has been the bats. We're hitting 240 in the SEC or whatever the hell it is. How do we feel about our bats heading into the regional?
Glad not to be facing SEC.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
because this was a hot bat. This team, we knew there'd be a regression when we got into SEC play, but I mean, in the the split side of conference have been pretty good.
We did hit Tennessee pretty well, and Missouri enough. Just didn't score. We had the base runners. We just didn't score the runs in that game.
Right. Do we have enough bat? Do we have enough bat to get through the weekend? I'm worried about pitching, but do we have enough bat?
I think so. Some guys are going to wake up this weekend, and it's going to, as some of the people, our midweek warriors are going to wake up. And
okay, good. Megan, you feel the same way? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just the notion of it's win or go home, and they're gonna find ways to get it done. We've seen that throughout the season of when we have to, it'll get done. The fact that it's not SEC, I think, is gonna help a lot too.
Yep. All right. He also had a question about any food wrecks in Hattiesburg other than Cane's, and we've got a good number of these recommended. If you go to the at Weekly Joe's site, Christopher Barnett, dad of a hopefully incoming player, we'll see. RIP, I think it's Letha, Leatha. Letha's Barbecue recently closed. Art of Rue looks promising as well. RTR, the Roll Tide Road. Again, Christopher Barnett, dad of Caleb Barnett, a signee for next year. Heather Overstreet tweeted out a good number here. I think you sent it to me, Roger. I'll tweet out the restaurants that we've gotten from the parent group. Bernie Burns, let's see what next. Mostly that at Bernie Burnsy, you'll see that if you go to the Twitter account. Mostly about the pitching and stuff that I think we feel like we've addressed here. Let me see if I missed anybody. I don't want to leave anyone out, but I'll probably miss one. I think that's the bulk of them. All right. Any other things any other keys to the weekend you guys think that we need to touch on, or is the hay kind of in the barn and they're probably heading down there?
They're headed tomorrow after an early practice.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're actually going a day earlier than they normally
do. So you get your legs.
They normally go on Thursday, but they're going tomorrow.
Okay.
No school, I guess, makes a difference.
That helps. Yeah.
So they'll practice here early and then head out.
Right. Any advantage to? I mean, again, you're not the host, so you don't get the night game on Friday. I mean, you're going to play the day game Friday afternoon, right? We're playing. I think is it 2 Central?
2 o'clock Central.
2 Central. Any advantage there that you don't go the night game?
Doesn't really. I mean, it would mean we were hosting. So yeah. But,
right.
And then when the winners game on Saturday is at 8 p.m.
It's the night game. Yeah. So you get a longer rest if you win them.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
When we get to finish that, I got a report on a player.
Okay. Yeah. We're done with questions. Yeah.
Okay. I got a text from Joe Pesci. Anthony pitched the 9th and 10th innings today. Faced 6 and got the win. All important win.
All important pitchers.
Faced 6 batters, 3 strikeouts, 2 ground outs, and a pop up.
Nice. And he's pitching. And tell him what league he's in.
He's with Danville, the Danville Dans.
Okay.
In the Prospect League, which is in Danville, Illinois.
Okay. Kind of Midwest. Okay. Yeah.
So he sent me they were able to watch it. So I asked him to send me, he sent me the link, where you can watch it. And And then Danville Dan's Twitter handle. So
yeah.
just
So
at Danville Dan.
so the a lot of guys. I mean, people probably don't know, but I mean, a lot of the guys that were non-roster, red shirting, or whatever. I mean, they've already been pretty much sent home or are going to their summer assignments. These guys, so Anthony's one of them. He had some arm issues, and so kind of worked through that.
Right.
Probably gets a medical red shirt or however that works.
Yeah, definitely.
And is now going to get some innings in and hopefully build up and be ready for the fall.
Yeah, it would have been great to have had him healthy all
year
after what we saw out of him in the fall.
Right. This is a guy who could be a starter for us next season. Honestly, I mean, people remember that name. A great kid, great family, loved his sister, and dad. I mean, they're all great folks, but a good young arm that just had some forearm or elbow or something issue, but unfortunately wasn't anything like surgical and is going to get so again, the summer's already kind of kicking off for some of these leagues with these guys that are done with their seasons. All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, a lot covered there, a lot of ground covered. It's put up or shut up at this point. We'll either be back here Tuesday, Wednesday of next week talking about going to Vandy or maybe hosting Louisville. Hopefully hosting Louisville the next weekend, or we'll be recapping the season. Let's hope for the former, and that we get through this weekend unscathed. Again, thanks again, Roger, Drew Champlin, Meghan Dennis. Thanks to Christian, who's going to slice and dice this and get it out there on all the formats for us tomorrow. Crimson Crossover. As always, Camp Land, Peter Slight for our theme song. They will take us away. Roll Tide. Let's go win a regional this weekend. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Let's do it.
Roll Tide.
Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew and a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Well, it's Bama